Hey, welcome. Jeremy here from the Rustic Hills Homestead, and today we're going to get started on a project to build a turkey house. My turkeys have been in a brooder room down in the barn over the winter, and now that we're starting to get a little bit better weather, it was up in the high 50s today and yesterday, and the weekend promises to give us some nice weather. I want to try and get this built so that we can get the turkeys outside into an environment they're a little bit more accustomed to, with some trees and some roosts, because we love our turkeys and we want to treat them right. So come along with me at the Rustic Hills Homestead and we'll see how well I do building this turkey house. Just got back from one of the local stores that has pretty much a little bit of everything, including lumber. And if you don't live in Wyoming or this part of the country, you may have never heard of this particular store. And I don't know, I'm new to this YouTube thing, and since I'm not receiving any sponsorship from these folks or anything, I don't know if I should really use their name. But anyway, I bought a bunch of 2x4x7s, about 50 of them, and that's where we're going to get started in framing out the floor, the walls. Hopefully I can get that done today. Even if I can get the floor done today, I'd be happy, to be honest, because it's already pushing into evening. Alright, so now that we got those 2x4x7s unloaded, let's get started looking at some plans and seeing if we can get this floor laid out at least. Alright, so we've got the base squared off and we're going to screw that together. So let's get started. So that's our wall with the door and the window. I have to cut a couple more pieces to frame up the window, but for right now, that's the basics, and I'm gonna probably stop there for the evening. I believe dinner is ready in the house, and we'll pick this up soon when I get to working on the rest of it, which is tomorrow. So, hello, welcome back. Today is day 2 of our turkey house build, and hopefully we'll get all the framing done today, possibly the flooring, and then it'll just be the roofing that I don't know whether I'll get done today or tomorrow. And then obviously the assembly down at the spot where we're gonna put the turkey house. We're waiting on a few things to come in for the run. And that's basically the netting that's going to protect the turkeys from predators and that sort of thing, and keep them kind of where we want them. But let's finish up the framing today and then see what else we can get done. My buddy Roscoe is joining me in the garage today. You may see him in and out of the footage. This is man's best friend right here. Just as a disclaimer, I am not a construction specialist by any way, shape, or form. There's probably a lot of things I'm doing wrong that I'm sure a lot of people will point out to me in the comments. One thing I'll tell you, I had a square around here somewhere and I couldn't find it. In the interest of moving forward, and I'll probably regret it later, I didn't go out and buy a new square. Oops, sorry, buddy. I just have been measuring corner to corner and trying to make my measurements as clean as I can. Again, it might come to bite me in the butt. If it does, I'm gonna look pretty foolish, but I think I'll be okay. That being said, again, a lot of you will probably have a lot of criticism for me in the comments. I am certainly open to constructive criticism, better ways to do things, more efficient ways to do things. That is what I really want to learn myself and pass along to others. But if you see me doing something that's just horribly wrong, please don't bash me for it. That's not the whole purpose of what we're trying to do here. I'd really like to have a community of people, so to speak, where we're supportive and we're teaching each other ways of doing things that work, that are efficient, and hopefully that's the direction we're headed. So let's try to keep the harsh comments to a minimum and just make it constructive criticism. So I thank you for that. So, a friend of mine from California just called, and I was just filling him in on how wonderful it is up here. So I shut off the video for a little bit because I was chatting on the phone, not getting anything done. But I'm going to restart now on framing this turkey house up. So if anybody knows a good way to keep wood from splitting, I would love to hear it. What I always try to do is, of course, use the appropriate size screws, and I try to go kind of off in different planes of orientation with the screws when I'm putting them in and these studs, but every now and again it still splits no matter what I do, and I just don't know any other way to prevent that. So if anyone's got a good tip, I'd love to hear it. So if you watched my last video, you heard me mention that, I'm a city kid. I was not someone who was raised on farming or doing a lot of these things, and it's been interesting. It's kind of an education as I get older on new things that I'm not familiar with. A lot of it is trial and error for me. I do use YouTube a lot, and I look up things all the time, and I try and find ways to do things, but it's just me. So I try and do my best to muddle through and make a project work. I am by no means saying that everyone should just watch me and how I do things to get the entire scope of how to do a lot of these projects. Take a little piece from here, from there. But if you are in a similar situation as me, where maybe you weren't raised with these types of skills, I just want people to see that you can still do these things. You don't have to go out and hire somebody to build all this for you, unless you just happen to have a surplus of money laying around to do that. You can do these things. They're actually, I don't want to say easier than you'd think, but I think in some cases they kind of are. If you dive in, and that has been a lesson I've learned throughout this whole homesteading adventure, is if I dive in and I figure it out, it works out. Is it the best way to do it? Probably not. Is just diving in head first and figuring it out later the most wise way to do it? Probably not. But it can be done, and sometimes it takes the leap to get yourself bought into the project enough to continue going and make it work, and to learn what to do better next time, right? So that's probably one of the main lessons I've learned in all of this, and I hope others will maybe follow suit and say, I've always wanted to do that, but I was afraid it was going to be too complicated, or I couldn't handle it. Just, if you really wanted to do something, dive in, do it, figure it out. People have a lot more ingenuity than I think they give themselves credit for. So that's my soapbox for today, and I'm going to continue from